Mercedes, it's so nice to see you again. Thank you for stopping on by. I appreciate you coming. So, we got all your test results back from everything we did, compiled them, and I'll tell you, I'm really excited to share with you what we're going to be doing with you. Now, this is how the meeting's going to go. I'm going to kind of go over what we've already done. I'm going to tell you what's to come as far as your clinic experience here goes and as far as your at-home care will go, which will include a bit of homework. And from there, we'll be open up to any questions that you may have. How's that sound?
Sounds great.
Awesome. So before anything else, it's important just to remember that we're going to be making a team here, all right? Now, you have this long-standing issue, and I think the best way to go about it is to tackle it together. So it's important that you realize that you are as important, if not more, in this whole healing process. So whatever plan it is that we've come up with, it's important that you stick through it and follow with it in order to get the desired results. Okay? Does that sound all right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, you came in with a chief complaint of a mid-back pain. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just hurting right, kind of right between the scaps. Yeah, I can see that. It was just kind of like right in there. Yeah. Okay, so we looked into that. You mentioned that it was due to a traumatic event, some kid kind of kicking you when you were in school.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's pretty unfortunate.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it looks like you've been under chiropractic care for a while now, ever since then, a couple years past that, 7 years, you said?
Yeah.
And it hasn't quite resolved, now has it?
No.
No. So I did some tests right around that center of the pain, where the level of the spine where that pain was. And in fact, it was kind of hard for you to kind of push forward through there. I don't know if you remember when we did those exams, but we kind of pushed in. It was a little gummed up, stuck. We turned to the right. It was also a little stuck and unhappy. And then when we tried to lean you to the left, it was a little unhappy too. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was quite an experience. But what that tells us is that there's definitely something going on there. But I actually kind of started looking at your x-rays because you have been under chiropractic care for a long time. So I was wondering, why it was that you hadn't, seen any resolutions or ideal resolutions rather to this ongoing issue. And I kind of noticed in your low back something pretty, that stood out to me quite a bit. Now, would you be able to show me something that kind of sticks out to you right at the get-go, ignoring all the lines and everything?
Yeah, it just kind of looks like I'm leaning.
Right. There is a bit of a lean in your lumbar spine, and it seems to be some sort of compensation that's happening due to, something else. So I thought we'd look a little bit lower. So what we did was we actually checked your pelvis out. And feeling around the SI joint, now actually let me demonstrate to you what the SI joint actually is. So the SI joint is made up of the sacrum, which is this bone here, and the ilium, which is this hip bone here. And the SI joint is made obviously by the two joints together where they meet. So right around on your right leg, I saw a lot of kind of unhappy tissue there. When we touched it, was a bit sensitive, felt a little bit restricted when we were moving it around, and we did a couple of tests which just showed that it was stuck more than anything. So being as this has been a long-standing issue with your mid-back, and being that we did find some x-ray findings, and again, we kind of confirmed it with some orthopedic tests within your spine itself, I'm starting to think that you actually have a subluxation in your pelvis, which is causing this issue all the way up in your mid-spine. Now, do you know what a subluxation is?
No.
Okay, that's okay. We can explain it perfectly here. Now, the brain, to start off, communicates with the rest of the body. And the body has to communicate back to the brain. There's like a feedback loop. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
It's like a boss calling the workers, and then the workers calling back saying that the orders were completed. If at any point in time there is a disjoint or a disconnect in that line of communication, that's what we call a subluxation. You can visualize it here with the safety pin that I've drawn here. When you have a closed safety pin, which is a body that is without subluxation, the route of communication is open both from the brain to the body and from the body back up to the brain. When there is a subluxation manifested within the body, then there is a lack of communication, and as you can see, the body isn't able to talk back to the brain again. That's as the safety pin is open, as you can see. When that happens, when that interruption of communication happens, the body likes to accommodate itself. And, if something is wrong, it doesn't like to signal up to you, oh, there's something wrong. It tries to go about its day. It adapts. So what I'm finding here is that your pelvis is off a bit, and then your spine is adapting to that, and that adaptation kind of keeps going up and up on the chain, and I think you're finding that the actual manifestation of the pain that you're feeling is happening in the mid-back because of all of this that's going on. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. So now that we've established kind of what's going on, we'll talk about how that's going to look like as far as your clinical experience is going to be. Okay. So in order to address these issues, I'm going to need just to see you roughly around 2 times per week. Not roughly, we're going to need to see you 2 times per week for the next 8 weeks. After 8 weeks, we're going to sit back and we're going to reassess how you're progressing through this therapy, and we're going to see how your body is responding to my adjustments. If at 8 weeks we find that you're not responding too well, then we're going to reassess the situation and we're going to try something else. However, if we see the results that we want, we're going to continue on with this with this recommendation until you are fixed or as close as we can get to it. Now, as far as your homework goes, at home I'm going to have a series of exercises I'm going to have you do that's going to involve you stretching your trapezius muscles. That's going to your lower traps. It's really easy to do. I'll have a hand that will tell you how to do it. I'm also going to have you roll out, and I'm also that's going to be along the thoracic spine as well as along the pelvis. Again, you'll have all these handouts explaining exactly what you need to do and how you need to do it. When you have too much pain, and it's just kind of flaring up at the end of the day, like you mentioned in your history, that it tends to flare up around the middle of the day, towards the end of the week, and especially when your stress kind of goes up, right? Yeah. So we want to make sure that that's taken care of, and you kind of get rid of the pain when it happens, so that you're able to go about your day. So we're gonna have a heat pad on your back whenever it flares up too much, and we'll put that on for about 20 minutes to kind of help relax all those muscles around there. Okay. All right. Now, it's really important to acknowledge that diet plays an integral role into our health and with healing. So you've been having this going on for a long time, and it sounds like you kind of eat out quite a bit. We're going to have to reduce that a little bit from 3 days to at least just 1. Your fruit and vegetable intake are minimally adequate, which is fine. However, again, in order to have the best results possible, we want to increase your intake. You're currently at 4 servings of fruit and vegetables each per day, and we want to get that up around 5 or 6 just to make sure we have that buffer and make sure that you're getting the amount of nutrients needed so that your body can heal. It sounds like you're exercising. It says here that you're exercising 3 days a week, about an hour each. That's amazing. That's great. And you're doing cardio and you're doing resistance exercise along with flexibility and stretching protocols. That's awesome. I want you to keep doing that because that's only going to help you with this healing process. I know we need to work on your stress levels. We need to bring them down. I know you're doing some yoga to address them. I'm going to hand you some meditation sheets in order for you to help along with that, in conjunction. I don't want you to stop doing the yoga. I want you to keep going with that as well. With all being said and done, I think you are an excellent candidate for this treatment. I think that we can have a lot of success. Again, you and I working together, attacking this from both angles at home and here in clinic. And I see your results as being very, very favorable. Do you have any questions for me, with anything regarding this?
No, that was great.
Awesome. Well, I look forward to seeing you for your first adjustment. Again, it was a pleasure seeing you today. Thank you so much for coming, and I can't wait to get this resolved.
Thank you.
Right as I was about to go, too. Right as I was about to go.
Okay. I'm ready. Ready?
Thank you so much for coming. What did you eat?
Sorry, I feel like we're acting right now.
We are acting.
This is really me.
This is really you.
Okay, let's hear it.
Just waiting there. Okay, so I'm gonna show you your x-rays and I'm gonna show you a picture of your low back. Can you show me something that may stand out at you all of a sudden?
That's me.
That's you.
Am I leaning?
She's leaning.